Hi, Jessie. Thank you so much for being here with us today. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I'd like to start off today by talking a little bit about your own personal story. What made you start looking outside of Western medicine for healing?
Great. Well, my personal story started in maybe about 10 years ago. It was right after the birth of my second child. And I thought I had everything I wanted. I had the house, I had the husband, I had the kids, and I was still not happy. And it really spiraled out to the fact that I needed to seek help. And so, being brought up in St. Louis, Missouri, I went to the type of help that I knew, which was a doctor, Western medicine. And after seeing a couple of counselors, I eventually ended up in the office of a psychologist that could prescribe medicine, and ended up on pharmaceutical antidepressants and anti-anxiety medication. And those remedies helped me not be so sad anymore, but they didn't help me really find the joy that I was looking for, that I knew was available. And so I kept looking for more.
That's great. And so, what types of things did you start looking into? What were the first things that really kind of resonated with you that began to help your energy?
So the first thing I found was a numerology practice. So literally, I was talking to my brother on the phone one day, my little brother in New York, and he said, I keep seeing these repeating numbers everywhere, 1111 and 333 and 222, and I hadn't heard of it, but we just kind of have those fun conversations, he and I. And so one night I decided to Google it. What does it mean when you see repeating numbers? And I landed on an interview. It was a podcast called 1111 Talk Radio. And there was an interview with an author named Nicholas David Nunn. And he had written a book called Your Soul Contract Decoded, Discovering the Spiritual Map of Your Life with Numerology. And I was intrigued, and so I bought the book, and I read the book, and it taught you that we choose our names as souls before we come here in this planet, and the vibrations of the sounds of your name actually work to create the energies in your life. And you can work backwards and match the letters of your name to the letters of Hebrew numerology and chart them on a star. And really, you can look at what your soul's intentions were when you incarnated in this lifetime. And so it talks about your karma, your talents, your goals, etc. And I was ready for anything. I was just looking for something that would get me out of this rut. And so I did my own soul contract chart, and then I did my children's and my husband's, and then I did my parents and my brother and my sister, and it just resonated so deeply with me that I knew there had to be something more. And that really sent me on the real exploration of how in the world did this system read me so well.
That's fascinating. Mm-hmm. And I actually have had a numerology reading with you, and it completely resonated with me, and I was fascinated by that modality as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I even came to you when I wanted to change my name, and I found out what the vibration of the new name Cypress was going to be, and you were definitely an integral part of me changing my name.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Change your name, change your life.
Yeah.
Yep. It's amazing.
So after the numerology, where did you go from there?
So my husband said to me once he realized, he saw I was doing this, and he wanted to encourage more, obviously, because it was making me happy. It was really bringing me that joy that I felt like I was missing. And he said, I have a client that does all that spiritual stuff. You guys should have coffee. So we have a snow removal company and a landscape company, and he actually has a client in Boulder, and he shoveled their sidewalks and did their lawn care. And so Little did we know who this client was. She turned out to be a very experienced, very amazing shamanic teacher. Her name was Julie Kramer. And I met her for coffee at a little bookstore, and I said to her, so you're in touch with your helping spirits right now while we're having coffee? You have contact with these beings in the spirit realm? And she went, mm-hmm. And I said, I want that. So she invited me into a weekend workshop, which I attended, and she taught us how to do shamanic journeys and meet our power animals. And it was really, really interesting and exciting, and also so far from my mainstream mind that it was really hard for me to believe in. It felt like kind of fairy tale land, and that I couldn't really live there. So I left the weekend workshop and thought I would, that was a fun thing, and I'll really probably never do much more with that. But then a couple months later, Julie reached out to me and told me there was a 3-year-long training program and asked if I wanted to join. And so I thought long and hard, and I decided to join. And I was probably the most skeptical one in the room. There were 26 of us to start, I think. And I was just really struggling with believing in all of this spiritual stuff. But by the end of 3 years, and all of the practices that we did with each other, and so many synchronicities and things that we just couldn't know with our thinking minds, I was convinced, and I became a believer. And so I graduated from the program and have been loving the work and the community ever since.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you found even more modalities that you're sort of incorporating into the other things that you've learned. What would that be? Yeah.
So again, when I, graduated from that 3-year program, I was so nervous to step out into the world as a shamanic practitioner. It took me 2 years in the program before I even told my family what I was doing, because I felt like I was going to be cast out or written off as just, a crazy Boulder hippie. But so I didn't really start doing the work until I found a few other things that I think really helped me. And the first one was dance, actually. This special movement, embodied dance. There's a class in Boulder that I found, and it really taught you to dance from your body. So allow your body to move you rather than you moving your body from your mind. And that just helped me, I think, work through a lot of emotions and a lot of fear and all of that, and also allowed me to be seen by other women as a shamanic practitioner. I was able to, share that with them. They were strangers. They were in this, dancing world. It was okay to be, and so that really helped me. And then after, from that as well, I found another teacher, Dr. Sue Morter, who wrote a book called The Energy Codes. And she was kind of, I think, her teachings really brought everything together for me, the spirituality, the embodiment, and how I could deliver it in a way that really made sense to me, that I felt comfortable with, that it was backed by science, and there was a spiritual piece to it. Yeah, so that's what I found so far.
That's awesome. And so a session with you that's sort of informed by all of these different modalities, what does a session with you look like?
So I often recommend to start a session or to start multiple sessions with a soul contract reading. It allows us to have a baseline of who you are, where you're coming from, and also where we can focus in terms of your healing journey. And so that's about an hour-long session. I just ask for your birth name and your birth date. I don't even need the year. And I spend about an hour in meditation and preparation for the actual reading, and then get on a Zoom call with you if we're not nearby, or we can do it in person, and go over your soul contract and talk about what you came here, why your soul chose to incarnate in this lifetime, and what your talents are and what your challenges are, and help you kind of get a better sense of who you are. And really what happens is it ends up being kind of a confirmation for people of what they already know about themselves. But it's really beautiful to see the validation that people feel when the soul contract reflects back to them kind of what they already know.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you start off with a soul contract reading, and then you get kind of an idea, a baseline of where your client is coming from, where they're kind of wanting to go, and then where do you go from there?
So there's a couple ways we could go after that. We could do a series of shamanic healing sessions where we talk a little bit, and then I work with my helping spirits and decide on a certain procedure or practice to do. It could be various things, something, just some examples are a power animal retrieval, a soul retrieval, cord cutting, when you have old relationships that you're trying to bring resolution to. But we work with the helping spirits and ask for their guidance on what's best. And they help us kind of guide the way as to what's needed. And alternatively, or both, I also am a certified energy codes coach. So this is through the work of Dr. Sue. And this process is very much like therapy, but not for the brain. This is therapy for the body, I would say. And the premise of this work is that everything starts in the energy field. So any issue or problem that you have gets stuck in the energy field and can get stuck in different places in your body. And so the energy codes coaching process goes straight to the source of your complaints and your ailments. So maybe you have depression, and you don't want to go into the story of it. You've done therapy, and it just hasn't really brought you to the joy that you want to find. We go underneath the story and we work with the energy of it and allow yourself to be cleared in that way. And it's a really beautiful method that's helped me a lot as well. And I really enjoy delivering that as well. I can show you some posters.
I would love to see
about that if you'd like.
I would like to ask you, what does an energy codes session, like, is that something you can do over Zoom, or does it need to be in person? Is it more like a hands-on thing, or is it more of a talking?
Yeah, it can be done over Zoom. Actually, quite a few of them have been done over Zoom since the pandemic. So wherever the client is most comfortable, whether it's on the camera or at my home, I have a space in my home I can practice, or I can even make house calls. We could meet at a coffee shop, that kind of thing. But yeah, it's really open for discussion.
Cool. I would love to see your posters.
Okay, awesome.
I'm gonna just pan this way.
You see this first one here. This is kind of the premise of the energy codes work, which is similar to the soul contract premise, which is why I think I resonated so much with it. But the idea is that before you were born, your soul had a plan. And this golden person up here was representing your soulful self, your higher self, the one that chose to come here. And then what you're doing here on the planet is you're embodying your soulful self. So you're coming down into this human body, And this image here was created by Dr. Sue Morter after she had an out-of-body experience and was able to really look down on herself as a human and see the truth of who she was, that she is actually this golden light coming down into a human physical body and creating this energy body around. And yeah, that's the premise, the basic premise that we're working on. So the next premise is that when you have problems in your life, that they can be traced back to certain disconnections in your energy that's running through you. So a perfect system would be this energy that's running straight through your body in a straight line. But when you have things like anger, frustration, resentment, jealousy, they cause these blocks in your body. And so that energy can't flow straight, it has to kind of curve and go around. And so you'll see these energy fields become sort of wonky or uneven. And you'll experience dis-ease in your body or emotional, things that don't feel so good. And so what we're trying to do is clear these blocks and integrate them into our system so that the energy can flow more in a symmetrical way. And your energy body becomes more symmetrical, and then your reality becomes more even and balanced. And that's what we're doing with the energy codes work.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I think
love
that's
that.
all we'll do. Yeah.
I love that you're putting all of these different modalities together and really coming up with something that works because you used it in your own life.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's really, really awesome that you're spreading the joy, spreading the healing.
Yes.
So I appreciate that. Thank you so much for being here with us today and explaining to the world what you do.
Well, you're so welcome, and thank you, Cypress, for putting these interviews together. It's amazing and much needed in the world, and I hope that we'll have more and more of these to come.
Thank you. I hope so too.